the war on drugs. What does victory look like in America's longest running war? Well, the first thing is that we have to accept the fact and reverse a bad policy which the U.S. government has carried out for over 80 years, the prohibition of cannabis. Now, in this talk, you're going to hear me say words like marijuana, cannabis, and hemp interchangeably. Understand they're all the same plant. And for you to really understand the stakeholders behind this bad policy, before we jump into them, I want you to comprehend the common uses of cannabis throughout human history. Whether it's been in ancient China, India, Africa, the Middle East, or Europe, cannabis has been used for medicine. It's been used for war, clothing, religious ceremony. And so, as we look at how cannabis became introduced into the Americas, it was through colonialism. The colonial powers had settlers actually be required to grow it for the crown in order to produce the hemp products necessary for the colonial navies. And so, at one point in this country, people were actually fined for not growing weed. Shocking. You know, cannabis is so ingrained in American history that, in fact, Thomas Jefferson in 1781 had to sell 2,000 pounds of weed just to acquire the rifles necessary for American independence. We even commemorate it on the back of our money. There's a hemp farm there on the 1914 $10 bill. So, what changed this policy in America? What changed our cannabis policy? Surprise! Racism and capitalism. DuPont and other financial elites in the early 1900s looking to produce synthetic plastics and paint, which were threatened by organic hemp oils, pushed it through Congress, through the Marijuana Tax Act, and they waged a public relations war on minorities, which the Mission administration doubled down on when the Marijuana Tax Act was deemed unconstitutional in the summer of '69. So today, both political parties are utilized by these powers that be. And the primary denier of civil rights and dehumanization of people in America has been through the war on drugs and mostly through the prohibition of cannabis. And if you look at the skyrocketing numbers, the land of the free and the home of the brave has more prisoners than China, Iran, Russia, North Korea. What's worse, people are profiting off of this. There are billions being made in the prison industrial complex, and they create these narratives to be tough on crime, to pass harsher laws. And all the while, the taxpayers are footing the bill to a prison industrial complex, which is making money off of modern-day slavery. And many of your 401ks and retirement plans are invested in this. The economics are clear, though. We can save $8 billion in law enforcement costs if we were to legalize cannabis and regulate it like tobacco, alcohol, and other substances in this country. Now, it's not just the prison industrial complex fleecing Americans and taxpayers. Immigrants are now on this. There's a web of exploitation through the private prison industry and their immigration detention centers, which multiple companies are profiting off of. And the sad part is, in all of this, despite legalization, black folks, Hispanic folks are still treated in disparities in arrests, search rates. Things have got to change, people. And we need you in this audience to step up and make that change. So for me, why did I fight? My father was diagnosed with a terminal form of dementia. And when I learned that the U.S. government had a patent to use cannabis to treat strokes and dementia, I was set on fire because I knew I would not give up on my father. And what I didn't know was the tools that this system had to use against me. One night with this medicine going home, I was arrested, thrown into drug rehab, forced to face serious prison time, fleeced for tens of thousands of dollars. This is how the new Jim Crow works. And I felt hopeless. But I seized my voice back and my power back by founding a normal chapter in Central Florida. And through community, I was able to step up and make it happen. And the American people, the numbers are clear, are with us. It's time for reform. And that's why educating people like yourself is so important to me. I host a weekly broadcast called The Rotation, where we have people come and share their stories of relief from medical marijuana and the value of industrial hemp and how it can really save this country. With a solid public education campaign, look at the progress we've been able to make in this country. But this progress is not enough. The war is not over by a long shot. 22 veterans a day take their lives due to suicide. And it is spurred on by a prescription pill crisis, which used the VA as a guinea pig. And I've heard their stories of wanting relief. I've heard their stories of cannabis helping them. yet it remains a Schedule I drug. For the absurdity of that, understand that cocaine is a Schedule II drug, and they deem it to have medicinal value. So I'm asking each and every one of you, let's make this policy change. Let's put an end to this policy which is destroying the American family. Let's do it for our troops. Do it for our families. Do it for our God-given, inalienable rights to freedom. Thank you.